Welcome to Cooking to Feast. Today, we're going to be making 3 feast-worthy breakfast sandwiches with 3 fried potatoes. Looking forward to this one. So what do we got? We got a stuffed French toast sandwich, we got an omelette croissant sandwich, and the good old bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. Along with that, we're doing 3 fried crispy potatoes that you're going to love. So we'll start off with the bacon, egg, and cheese. Besides the obvious, you're just going to need some bread to go with it and the potato and spices. So we're going to start off with our whole russet potato. We're going to chop this up into cubes to get those nice little home fry type potatoes that everyone loves. We're going to cut them into strips after cutting it in half. And you're just going to want to glide your knife through it and make sure you don't cut your fingers off. And then after that, give it a cross cut. And the potatoes will be a little bit sticky. Make sure that you get them about equal sizes. It's not a perfect thing. I mean, no one's going to report you or anything if they're not perfect. After you cut, you want something that kind of resembles this. If you don't want the skins on it, take them off. I don't mind them. And so to this, we're going to put this in this 3-quart saucier pan. So the purpose of what we're going to do next is we're going to double cook these. First, we're going to add water to the pan and we're going to boil them until they're tender. The purpose behind this is so that we have a nice fluffy inside from the boiling, but we want to get a nice crispy exterior from the frying. Because we're going to be double cooking it, this ensures that just the frying alone doesn't get a crispiness, but the inside is still kind of, not soft and that type of thing. In the meantime, while that's going on, let's get our Italian roll here going. And I'm going to cut it open, and then we're going to add some butter to this. You don't have to do this step, and especially if, you don't want that real buttery taste, but most people are probably going to want that buttery taste. So put a little bit on it, and I got it right onto a stainless steel pan where I'm going to put it on a medium heat, and we're going to toast these up. I'm going to use this pan later for eggs, but in the meantime, you'll see here we got a nice toasted bun. And in a 12-inch skillet, we're going to add some bacon to it, and we're trying to get a lot of the bacon fat. So I'm making more than we actually need here, but snacking bacon. And you'll see here in this time lapse, we're starting to get a little crisp going on here, and you'll see the grease is coming out. Probably should have had my pan a little hotter before I added them with stainless steel, so you get a little bit of sticking, but that's okay. Bacon's going to turn out fine, but pro tip, make sure your pan is heated up thoroughly in the future. And so we're going to flip these over. We're going to get them nice and crisp. I don't like too crispy bacon. I like that little bit of crisp, but with a little bit of chew in there. So be mindful. I think it's good for a breakfast sandwich because you don't want to break apart. So we're going to add some bacon to our sandwich, and I'm using cheddar cheese, and we're just going to put it on there. And we're going to, just let it sit for now. We're going to take that residual bacon grease, and we're going to put it back into that 3-quart saucier. Potatoes have been just sitting in the strainer for now, letting any excess moisture kind of evaporate away. Here, we're going to put the potatoes back in, and we're going to add salt and pepper and season them. We're essentially kind of doing the same action as deep fried, but we're doing a shallow fry here in the bacon grease. Now the outsides are going to get nice and crispy. Remember, these potatoes are fully cooked, so we're just getting them crispy on the outside. And when they're done and they look like this with a golden brown exterior, they're good to go. Let's plate them up. These look great. These are going to be tasty, and look at that close-up shot. That's what you want. So we'll go back to our original pan that we had the butter and the toasting in, and we're going to add a little bit more oil to it and butter. This is for eggs. I like the combination of oil and butter in there because it gives you the flavor of the butter, but it gives you the crispiness on the bottom for the eggs. If you don't want the crispiness, just use butter. When your pan's thoroughly heated and you have some kind of fat in there, you'll see that the eggs definitely slide and they don't stick. Take a little bit of the excess juices in there, or the fats, and just, spoon it over top, and that'll help cook the top of it and also give a nice little bit of flavor to the top of it. Season it to taste, and you'll see here, if you do it right, there's no sticking and they'll come out great. Add your fried eggs to your sandwich. I like them a little runny. You obviously want to cook yours to taste here. If you want them a little bit, less runny, cook them a little bit longer. And then look at that close-up shot. That's a good-looking egg sandwich. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half for the glamour shot, but you don't have to do that. You can just dig right in. And so there we go. Open that bad boy up. Oh, yep, that's the cross cut. Just slightly firm eggs, a little bit of runny. You got your cheese layer, and you got your bacon there on a nice Italian roll. And then there's our crispy potatoes. You can put whatever you want on it. I'm gonna put ketchup on mine. But that is our first sandwich of our 3-sandwich medley. So the second one, we're going with our omelet croissant sandwich. We're just switching up some of the cheeses, and we're adding onions in this tutorial. So the first thing we need to do is take our potatoes, and we're gonna grate them. If you have a hand grater like this works fine. It's gonna take a little effort though. And of course, if you don't want the skins on them, remove it. For me, it doesn't make a difference at all, so I don't bother with it. You'll see with the hand grater here, this is kind of what the end result you'll get. These nice grated pieces here, but it does take some elbow work here. If you have any kind of processor or grater machine or something, I recommend using it, because look at this. I've already got 2 potatoes done on my food processor while I'm over here, putting some real elbow grease in. And that's what you get. You get a nice pile of potatoes. But you're gonna wanna soak these in water. Immediately fill them up with water and soak them for 10 to 20 minutes. You can remove some of the excess starches and keep them from oxidizing and turning that reddish brown color. Next thing you want for crispy hash browns, you need to get all the water out of them. You can use like a cheesecloth or a towel or something like that to wring it out. I didn't have any of this, so I'm just patting them dry with paper towels. And you'll see the consistency here is, they're still slightly moist because they're potatoes. You gotta get them dry. To this, I'm gonna grate up an onion or half an onion here, and then get some of the moisture out and add it back to the potato mixture. So I'm using some leftover ham for our omelet sandwich, and I'm just gonna dice this up into little pieces for our omelet. So ham and cheese is your classic omelet, and look at that. You wanna get the consistency small and really cut up finely. So for this, we're gonna use a croissant. I really recommend it. If you've never had a croissant sandwich, wow, you really need to. The butteriness of a croissant is amazing. And look at all those little air pockets in it. You just know it's gonna have a great texture. For our potatoes next, we're gonna season them with salt, pepper, garlic, and onion powder. You can omit whatever you want, but salt is going to be the best thing. And I recommend using a thick bottom pan for this. I'm using my 12-inch Lodge pan, and we're getting it hot. You saw it was over 400 degrees. And we're gonna take these potatoes, and with a good layer of olive oil on the bottom, and you're gonna press them into the pan. Surface area and getting the actual contact is important. So you're gonna cook these for 5 to 8 minutes. If I wasn't using cast iron, I've seen people being able to flip them, but with this pan, it's too heavy, way too heavy. Look at that crust though, way too heavy to flip it. So if anyone could actually flip one of these things, I'd love to see it. Put it in the comments or something. I want to see somebody flip a whole 12-inch pan. So we're gonna go to our next thing, to the sandwich now, while the hash browns are finishing cooking. You're just gonna take 2 eggs, you're gonna whisk them up nice, and you're gonna cook them on a medium heat. For this, it's not the same medium heat as the cast iron. Cast iron was sitting for 5 to 10 minutes or so heating up, so it is ripping hot. But this, we're gonna wanna slowly cook the eggs. You don't want them to cook extremely fast. And once they set up a little bit, you're gonna put your ham and your cheese in there, and we're gonna fold it. And we're gonna fold it the sides in, and then we're gonna fold it in half so it'll fit nicely on our croissant there. So we have just about the outline of the croissant there, so it'll look nice and tidy on there. Add a little bit more of our cheese, and then we're gonna cut it in half to get that nice cross section. Look at that, you got a little omelet in there, you got some Gouda cheese on there, and then you got your croissant. It's fantastic. So now at this point, our hash browns are done, so I'm gonna plate them. They have a little bit of a give to them, which you want, and they have that nice sear on the outside of it. And there we go, there's our second breakfast sandwich. We got our croissant with Gouda cheese and a ham and cheese omelet on top. So there it is. Next, and our final one, is our loaded French toast sandwich. For this, we're making a sandwich, but we're also having French toast, so that's gonna take a little bit of setup. For this, we're gonna add an egg to a bowl, and then to that, we're gonna add a splash of milk. This comes probably to a little bit less than a 1/4 cup of milk if you wanna really measure it out. To that, we're gonna add some granulated sugar, 1.5 teaspoons of sugar to be exact. And then to that, we're gonna add some of our cinnamon. You don't need a whole lot of cinnamon, so we're just using 1/4 teaspoons of cinnamon or it'll be overpowering. Gonna give this a quick whisk, and then don't forget to add the salt. So we're gonna do just a little pinch of salt in here. You would be surprised. Salt really helps bring out sweetness. We're going to also, at the same time, we're going to use my other cast iron pan, a 10-inch Lodge pan, and we're gonna get some bacon going. So this sandwich calls for some bacon, but you know what would also be good would be some sausage. But for this, I wanted the bacon grease so I can later fry the potatoes that are gonna go with this. We're gonna take one whole potato here and we're gonna cut these into like medallion shapes. There's a place by me called Expectations, and they have potatoes that are cut this way and fried, and I absolutely love them, so I wanted to recreate them. Definitely season them up with some salt and pepper here. Fresh cracked pepper is always in great taste. We're going to check on our bacon here, and again, you want it crispy outside, but you still want a little chewy. That's how I prefer it, and I think it really helps with the texture of the breakfast sandwich so that it doesn't pull apart or doesn't, it's easy to bite through. To that, when our pan is hot, we're going to add our potato seasoning side down here, and we're going to get them nice and crispy. While they're frying here, we're going to season the other side. A little salt, a little pepper. You can see I like the little saltier. And then finally, I want to add some garlic powder to it. I like a little bit heavier garlic flavor, but you can adjust to your own taste. In a non-stick pan, you'll see our butter is nice and bubbly, so it's ready to go. And we're going to dip our bread right into our egg wash mixture and then place it into the pan. We're going to do this one more time, and the longer you keep the bread in the mixture, the more custard-like or creamy the interior of the bread because it'll soak up more of the egg mixture. You want to balance that out. If you like a little more bready, just barely dip it. If you like it a little more like savory, keep it in there longer. And we're gonna let these cook for a little bit. After a couple minutes here, you'll check in here and you'll see the browning action start here. You're gonna wanna flip these over. You go any longer than this, you'll get burnt. And so this is the right, you want that brown exterior. We'll see with the cinnamon and the sugar has created a nice exterior. So get these off the heat or they'll burn. It's been about 5 to 8 minutes, and so take a look at the other side. You'll see that the color is really nice on these potatoes, and so we're gonna get a good crust and flip them over. They'll take in about another 5 minutes or so, finish cooking in that bacon grease. In our same pan, I just wiped it out. I'm gonna add a little bit more butter, and we're gonna get it nice and stirred around. I'm going to add 2 eggs scrambled here, and I'm gonna put them directly into the pan. Again, you don't want your pan too hot because a nice fluffy scramble will happen when it takes a little bit of time to heat up. We're gonna take one of our French toast slices and we're gonna place it right in there. The next part here will be a time lapse, and you'll see that the exteriors are cooking and becoming solid, and it'll move into the middle of the pan. Once you have like a solid mass here, even though the color's still bright yellow in certain areas, it's done. On the other side, our potatoes are about done, so this is great timing here. Look at our sandwich here, it's firm, and we're just going to flip this over now. And it's all kind of one substance here. So we're gonna flip it around. You see, it's giving me a little problems on that side. So we're gonna add some cheese here, and once the cheese gets melty, it'll fix this. Cheese started melting a little bit. I flipped over the egg. Now we got a perfect shape for it. Let's add back some of our bacon that we cooked here. Then we'll add our top to it. This is looking good already. Cut it in half so I can show you the cross section there. What's missing? Oh yeah, we gotta get our potatoes off the stove. So here they are, our finished potatoes, nice and crispy. Get them out of the pan and onto your plate. Of course, you can put them on some paper towels if you want to let them sit there for a second. And I had some of my leftover bacon, so I'm just gonna add it to the plate there. And there you go. This is probably my favorite sandwich of them all. And you'll take a look at it. It's got a lot of different things going on, from salty and savory to sweet and cheesy. Look at that. That one's beautiful. Finally, if you want to step this up to the next level, I recommend dunking it in some syrup, because you already have the French toast there. You're probably going to be missing that taste anyways. And that is a delicious breakfast sandwich there with some great potatoes. Give it one more dunk. You know you want it. So there you go. Loaded French toast sandwich, croissant omelette sandwich, and our good old bacon, egg, and cheese. This is Cooking the Feast. I hope you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more.